Welcome back to Donodep Movie Explainer. Today we will talk about the fantastic horror Moontrap. On July 20, 1969, two NASA astronauts named Jason Grant and Ray Tanner land on the moon. There they are watched by a certain robotic creature moving under the ground. On their way back, the astronauts discover a huge alien spacecraft. Having boarded this abandoned ship, one of the astronauts finds there an anthropomorphic corpse and a strange metal container, the size of a large egg. They take all this with them to Earth for further research. In the NASA laboratory, scientists find out that the corpse is already about 14,000 years old, but they cannot open or scan the egg-like device. After a conflict with a local official, the entire research group goes on hiatus and leaves the exhibits unattended. At this time, the egg is activated, and a robotic creature appears from it, similar to the one that followed the astronauts on the moon. It scans an ancient corpse and tries to physically recreate it. The creature incapacitates all laboratory equipment, and uses the corpse to create a massive biotech robot. The alien kills the laboratory assistant, who senses something amiss and decides to check the laboratory. But before being killed by a powerful metal claw, she still manages to call the security service. The robot leaves the laboratory in an unknown direction. The capture team arrives at the scene, learns about what happened and goes in search of the alien creature. In one of the corridors, they simply freeze at the sight of a huge terrible mechanism, which consisted of a corpse and other laboratory equipment. At this moment, a group of scientists is in time to help them. The armed men are about to attack the robot, but an authoritative elderly scientist convinces them that first you need to try to establish contact with him. After all, this is the first meeting of a person with an alien mind in history. When trying to negotiate, the robot wounds the scientist, after which the group attacks him with all available weapons. But the creature not only remains unharmed, but using some kind of electrical discharges even manages to kill most of the group. Then reinforcements arrive, trying to attack the robot from all sides, but it doesn't care. Suddenly one of the astronauts, named Jason, is armed with a shotgun and decides to get close to the monster through the ventilation shaft. And, while the robot continues to kill everyone left and right, Jason sticks out right above its head, the function of which is performed by the same egg-like creature. After a powerful shot directly to the head, the egg shatters into smithereens, and the robot itself just falls apart. Everyone is happy and congratulates Jason. The life of our hero is quite ordinary. He exercises, does push-ups with his son, dines with him and asks about his mother's new man, with whom they are divorced. Suddenly, his co-worker named Ray calls him and tells him something important. Jason urgently leaves for him. Meanwhile, single and carefree Ray is having fun in a strip club. Jason arrives and the drunken Ray tells him about a new mission to the moon, which they will soon fly. According to Ray, after the incident with that creature, the authorities decided to send the most experienced astronauts there and deal with what happened. In addition, a new member joins them in the team, Roger, with whom they actually drink and celebrate. During the landing, Roger remains on duty in orbit, while Jason and Ray descend to explore the area. During the movement of astronauts on the lunar rover, they are again watched by a familiar underground creature. And while Roger assures that everything is under control, the creature instantly incapacitates part of the ship. The lunar rover gets stuck in the lunar soil and the astronauts continue to move on foot. Suddenly they notice a certain structure in the crater. Jason and Ray believe that this is the very base of the aliens. At the very top of it, they notice a light signal, realizing that it is intended for them. In a moment, their lunar rover somehow digs itself out, because it is on the rover that they drive up to this monumental, mysterious base. Near the entrance, they discover something like a human skull and prudently decide to arm themselves. Once inside, they discover even more alien and human remains, suspecting that once upon a time a serious battle took place here. After looking around, the astronauts suggest that this is probably some kind of ritual building where aliens studied people and engaged in human sacrifice. After that, Jason and Ray find a secret room, in the middle of which is a sarcophagus. Having thrown off the human skeleton lying on top, they discover that there is a woman inside, and in front of them, most likely, a cryogenic chamber. Suddenly, the camera opens and the astonished astronauts pull out from it a completely alive, but frightened woman. Suddenly, she snatches their weapons from them and intends to kill, but the astronauts stop her by removing their helmets and proving that they are also human. The woman practically loses consciousness, but Jason wakes her up and tries to talk, but she doesn't understand their language. Then the cosmonauts give their names and the woman is also presented with the name of Mara. At the cryogenic chamber, Mara notices a skeleton and hugs it tenderly. With pain and sadness in her heart, she removes a metal bracelet from him, which it seems is very dear to her. Meanwhile, another egg-like creature is not asleep and constructs another huge robot. This mechanism detects the device for landing astronauts and drags it off somewhere. Roger urgently contacts them and informs them that something strange is happening on the surface and therefore they need to hurry up. While Jason and Ray are pondering what to do with Mara, she opens the cryogenic chamber and takes out her spacesuit. Astronauts are surprised to notice the quality of technology that can work after such a long time. With tears in her eyes, Mara says goodbye to the skeleton and is going to leave with them. But then a spider robot appears, controlled by the same egg-like creature. One of the heroes kills the robot and they immediately leave the building in their moon rover. At the same time, Roger tells them that someone or something is moving their station, so they need to move faster. Arriving at the place of their landing, Jason, Ray and Mara are horrified to discover that their ship is no longer in sight. Mara somehow tells them that this is the work of some Kalium. Here the astronauts notice the characteristic rectangular tracks and decide to move along them. After a while, the power supply of the lunar rover is suddenly depleted and then they continue on foot. For a long time, moving through the beautiful landscapes of the moon dunes, Jason, Ray and Mara stumble upon that huge alien ship that they met at the beginning of the film. But now it is no longer abandoned, but is in a fairly working condition. All these years, alien beings lived on the moon and waited for suitable parts to repair their spacecraft, and the NASA ship that fell into their hands turned out to be very useful. Jason says that he is going to go to this enemy ship alone, but Ray persuades him to go together. But then, right out of the ground, a huge alien robot appears, attacks Jason and he falls. Ray and Mara have a fierce firefight with the robot and kill him. The heroes relax a little, but then another robot appears and mortally wounds Ray, piercing his spacesuit through. An angry Jason shoots at it with all his might, hits it right in the head and kills it. After that, he immediately rushes to the aid of his wounded partner and promises to take him home at all costs. From orbit, Roger reports that something strange is happening on board, because all the instruments are working, but the ship cannot be controlled. Roger's ship plummets and explodes beyond the horizon in front of his shocked colleagues. Meanwhile, the dying Ray asks Jason to under no circumstances allow these creatures to come to Earth. In his opinion, in order to capture our planet, they waited here for 14,000 years. After these words, Ray laughs hysterically and dies in terrible agony. Leaving the body of their partner, the depressed Jason and Mara continue on their way through the desolate lunar lands. After a while, they return to their abandoned moon rover and Jason recalls that they left a suitcase in its trunk, which turns into something like a space tent. Jason and Mara enter their temporary abode and retire there. Jason is broken, depressed and, as the head of the mission, blames himself for all the troubles that happened to them. Mara tries to calm him down, and then of course they kiss and make love. And at this moment, Ray's dead body is captured by another alien. Sensing that something was wrong, Jason and Mara fortunately change their minds and dress. Suddenly, in the window of the tent, they see Ray's ominous face and watch in horror as a robot with his head destroys their warm nest for the night. Mara nimbly grabs the weapon and completely blows off Ray's head. But then, in the blink of an eye, new robots appear, grab Jason and Mara and take them prisoner. Waking up on a flying alien ship, Jason and Mara find themselves chained to a wall next to each other. In the opposite wall, they discover many cells with parts of human bodies and Jason assumes that this is how the ancient people of Myra died. Suddenly, the upper compartment opens and a kind of robotic surgeon with tentacles, saws and drills instead of hands appears in front of them. While it's trying to deal with Mara, Jason frees himself and blows its head off with the first available means. Jason frees the haggard Mara, they arm themselves, equip themselves and continue to kill the robots. At this time, in search of the missing group, a new spacecraft is sent from Earth with a rescue expedition on board. Moving through the wilds of the alien ship, Jason and Mara observe a myriad of egg-like creatures, staying in standby mode and ready to attack at any moment. Plowing through the vastness of the universe, the search team's shuttle finally stumbles upon an alien ship and transfers its image to the shocked NASA staff on Earth. And Jason and Mara, meanwhile, accidentally find their landing station, with the help of which the aliens have repaired their ship. Jason recalls that the latest versions of these stations always have a self-destruct device. Observing the flight of their rescue expedition and assessing the power of the enemy ship, Houston finally realizes that they really have problems and advises the crew to get out of there at the first danger. Immediately they begin to shoot at them, but they miss. Jason does not waste time and finds a hidden dashboard at the landing station. Adding that the aliens will regret everything, he enters the password and activates the detonator. A timer immediately lights up, showing that there are only 5 minutes left before the explosion. Suddenly the door opens and an egg-shaped alien protrudes from there. Jason is startled and shoots him with a shotgun. By the force of recoil in zero gravity, he and Mara are thrown far back and they understand that they can leave the ship before the explosion and still survive. Shooting in this way several more times, they fly off the ship and instantly move away towards the shuttle of their rescuers. And the alien ship, after a few moments, colorfully and epically shatters into pieces. Smart and beautiful Mara and Jason are adoring the starry sky from the window of their cozy apartment. Jason romantically shows her a shooting star, but Mara objects, because stars cannot fall. Continuing to teach her the language, Jason explains that this is just a figure of speech. Mara replies that it is still difficult for her to speak, but still tries to tell Jason how she was left to pass on the message to her descendants and how she was ready for anything to complete this task. Jason soothes her, hugs her and says with a sinister face that it's over. In the last scene of the film, we find ourselves in an abandoned car dump. Here, among a heap of old, broken down cars, a lonely egg-shaped alien is hiding. He is activated and, apparently, begins to build a new robot. Thank you all for watching, subscribe to the channel, and in the comments suggest films that you would like to see in our performance. See you.